All right, guys. So Rick from LaLa Farm today. We're continuing our goat fencing project for the buck pasture, and we're about to pull the fence tight, and we're more or less just going to show you guys. We use a chain. This will actually go on to your
Deadman post.
Your Deadman post. As you can see right here, this is a whole nother H-brace. It's more or less like a support for your Deadman post, and this is what you're actually going to pull your fence off of. But we were using, on the other one, we were using just eyelet bolts. And it's ended up straightening one of them out, right?
Well, you can see, I mean, there's so much. So this is sunk 2 foot into the ground, this Deadman post is. This H-brace basically gives horizontal support between the main H-brace, where the fence is going to be attached, and this Deadman post. So that's just providing support. This is sunk 2 foot into the ground. So when we first started doing fence, we've kind of become experts at this now after probably doing 7 or 8 acres of fence so far. We know what we're doing. So this Deadman post, when we first started, you'll see a couple eye bolts here. These eye bolts were essentially bent because of the amount of force that was being exerted on these. So now we just basically take the chain, wrap it around the post, take the 2 come-alongs, hook those to the chain, and the other end to the actual bar puller on the fence. And it works wonderfully. So this is probably the longest run we've had to do, which is 500 feet or so.
It took one entire. This is how to pull. This is how to tension a fence or pull a fence tight with an entire 500-foot roll of goat fencing.
Yeah,
So,
we only cut
this is a true test.
We only cut about 2.5 foot off the end of this that we're not using in this pull. So this buck pen is a full 500 feet. So this is the longest section that we pull. So we may end up having to unattach things once we see how much we're pulling, slack we're pulling out of it, and then reattach it and pull it again. But hopefully we don't have to do that. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So there you got.
Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Another cool thing about using the chains instead of something that is fixed to your Deadman post is it allows you some fluctuation. So if by chance, whenever you stick your auger in the ground, if it goes further down than, say, the last time that you dug, these can be adjusted pretty simply by literally just picking up on the Deadman post or coming down on the Deadman post. That way you're pulling your fence. What you don't want to do is you don't want to pull your fence into the ground. You also don't want to pull it straight up in the air, because at that point, whenever you start to put tension on that fence, whenever you start pulling that fence tight, you're either going to have it that far off the ground, which you don't want, or you're going to have it dug into the ground, which you don't want. So like I said, with the chain method, you can go ahead and kind of make adjustments as needed. Alright, so now what we're going to be doing, is actually pulling the fence. And what you want to do is you don't want to go ahead and tension down or get one real tight. You really want to fluctuate between the two of them and try to keep that bar. Dad, put your hand on that bar. We'll go over this here in a minute, because that right there that is the most expensive simplistic tool. We've tried it the other way. That right there,
Tried to make our own, and it didn't work.
What was it, $100?
Yeah, we basically took two boards, sandwiched them together, tightened them as much as we could, and it didn't work. This is nothing more than a steel bar
And a
channel
2x4.
channel bar that really clamps down on the wire really good, and a 2x4. But
So it's a $100 2x4.
it's far superior to making your own. Much
Right.
less headache.
But like I said, you definitely want to fluctuate between the two of them. You don't want to go ahead and jerk down on one of them and pull just the bottom tight or just the top tight. Fluctuate between both of them. Try to keep that pull upright. And so yeah, let's go.
Pull that chain up, Rick. On a level.
We're done. Yep. All right, guys. So this is the end of this. This is the end of this one. We're gonna go straight into. Actually wrapping the wire around the post in order to keep that tension on both ends. So stay tuned for the next one. The next one is wrapping wire around fence posts.